Okay, this is Mr. Peterson, and previously in notes 3.1, we've looked at relative maximums, which are hilltops, and figured them out by just counting the height of that point, or the height of this point for a relative minimum, which is a valley. So this one had one relative maximum, one hilltop, and two valleys. And for instance, on this one, the y value would be about 3.2, and we just looked at it visually. So on these last two problems, which is 9a and 9b in your notes, we're going to learn how to do this using a graphing calculator. So on this first example, I've typed in the equation here, and you can see I've got 2x cubed minus 3x squared minus 2x plus 1. Now, alternatively, you can type this like this. You can say 2, and then when it says x cubed, you can hit all three of those like that. And then minus 3x squared minus 2x plus 1. That's another way to type it. Now, I'm going to stick with what I had, and I'll tell you how I got those exponents in there. Here's the exponent key. So, for instance, where it says 2x cubed, you hit 2x, and then you hit this little circumflex-looking key here. And then you put a 3. You'll need to hit the right arrow to get back down on the main line, and then you continue with minus 3x squared, which I could use that key, but there's a dedicated x squared over here. And then minus 2x plus 1. So the point is there's more than one way to get it in there, and that's what I've got in there. I've got that equation typed in. So now we're going to graph this, and I'll show you how we find these answers eventually. Zoom 6 will give you the standard screen. And then we're going to draw a little box around this part here where we've got a hilltop and a valley. So hit zoom, choice number 1. And you'll see that this cursor is blinking at the origin. It's actually very hard to see there, but 0, 0 is the origin. If you use the left arrow and the up arrow, you'll see that cursor moving around there. And move it to a position that's roughly there. Hit enter. And then go over to the right and down, and you'll get this box. Whatever you put the box around will fill the screen when you hit enter. So it has the effect of magnifying that section. Hit enter. Here we go. Now we can work with it. Okay, we're going to find this maximum first and this minimum down here in the second round. All right, you find these with a second key and the calculate menu, which is above the trace key. And we're looking for a hilltop, so we'll choose maximum, which is 4. And it wants you to go to the left bound. So use your cursor and move over to the left-hand side of that hilltop, somewhere in there. Okay? Hit enter, and now it wants you to go to the other side. So anywhere over here would be fine. Hit enter. And that hilltop should be between those two black marks that show up. Now when it says guess, you can just hit enter one more time. And here's your answer, 1.28. You can see that I rounded to 2 decimals as specified in the problem. Now we're going to find this minimum. You go second, calculate, choice 3, there's the difference. And you want to go to the left side of the valley. Okay, the cursor is now blinking over here on the left side of that valley. Hit enter. Now it wants you to cross over to the right-hand side of the valley. So use your right arrow. Go on over there, and sometime when you're over on that side over there, hit enter. And just hit enter again when it says guess. And it should go down there, and here's your minimum height, negative 2.28. If that were a 5 or higher, I would say negative 2.29, but negative 2.8 is the correct answer. Okay, so now I'm going to type in the other equation. You'll see me do that here in a second. Looks like I messed up here, so let me get it back here. Okay, you can see I've got x times x times x times x. That's this first x to the fourth, plus x to the third, minus 3x squared, minus 2x, and minus 4. So that's what you type. Let me do it from the start here. X to the fourth plus x cubed minus 3x squared minus 2x minus 4. Now you can type it just like it looks if you'll use this little exponent key right here. And a little more trouble doing that. Okay, so I'm going to say zoom 6 to get the picture to show up. And you can see one hilltop there and two little valleys. Those are what we're looking for. So one max and two minimums. I'm going to draw a box around this part so I can see it a little better. Zoom, choice 1. And the cursor always starts at the origin. It's very hard to see it, but once you move it around a little bit, you'll catch up to where it is. There it is. Okay, I want you to move it somewhere in that vicinity. When you hit enter, you'll see that little crosshairs, those crosshairs change into a box, which then can be expanded to the right and down using the arrow keys. And once you've got that box roughly the same position as mine, hit enter. And that expands that part of the screen so you can see it better. Okay, we're going to find this maximum height up here, right here. It's actually not a maximum. We call it a relative maximum. It's a hilltop, but there are places on this graph over here that are higher, and likewise over here that are higher. So it really isn't a maximum height. It's just the maximum in this little tiny area here. So at any rate, that's called a relative maximum. So you go second and calculate in choice number 4. So once you go to the left side of the hill, which would be over here, somewhere in that area, go over to the right side of the hill. Anywhere over there is fine. And then hit enter again, and it should go right up to the top of the hill and tell you its height. So that's at negative 3.69 once you've rounded it. All right, now I'm going to find this one. Second calc, choice 3 this time, minimum. And you got to go to the left side of the valley. There we go. Go to the right side of the valley. I'm hitting enter between those. And hit enter one more time when it asks for a guess. So that's going to be negative 6.07. I've got that one written down there, and you can see I've rounded. That's what the dot above the equal sign is about. All right, one more valley over here. Second calc, choice 3, valley, minimum. And you got to scroll all the way over to the left-hand side of that little valley. Hit enter. Now, once you go to the other side, the right-hand side, and once you're over there, hit enter twice. And here we go, negative 7.04. And that's how I got that last answer. Now, a word about this spot here. We've been calling them relative maximums and relative minimums, but this one actually is the minimum. This graph never gets lower than that point. So that is a minimum. Now, we can still call it a relative minimum, but it's a minimum. There's no part of that graph lower than that point, and its height is negative 7.04. Okay, that does it for this installation, and I hope this video helps you find maximums and minimums on the calculator.